Thor Love and Thunder just might be the most blasphemous Marvel movie yet. And I'm not saying that just because the main villain is literally named Gore the God Butcher. We'll elaborate after this quick rule of promo material, as well as pointing out some things that we think all Christian Marvel fans should take into consideration if they are planning on watching the film.
Gods of the universe, I come here to raise an army. Today, we'll fight! I'm counting on that. How exciting! Feel the power of Thor Love and Thunder.
So, Thor Love and Thunder was just released, and most of you watching this video either watched it already or you are planning on watching it. But you are either unsure or you may be looking up some sort of explanation from a Christian perspective. Well, you have arrived at the right video. But just a disclaimer, this video is not a review, as the movie has not even dropped as of recording this video. But this is just a discussion based on current knowledge and analysis of the movie's supposed source material, potential plot, speculation by other content creators along with fans, world premiere interviews, articles, pre-release critic reviews, and other things across the internet. First, let's elaborate on the statement made at the beginning of the video by directly quoting some clips by Wisecrack.
Taking on the mantle of Thor, just as she did in writer Jason Aaron's recent run in the comics. Many readers consider Aaron's Thor to be the definitive take on the God of Thunder, and it's very likely that his work will serve as the inspiration for the film because he's the only writer that's penned the character during Foster's tenure as Thor. That, and director Taika Waititi made mention of Aaron's run while filming Ragnarok. Enter Jane Foster. Jane is also written by Aaron as a misotheist. She's met the gods face to face and found most of them to be jerks. A constant adversary throughout her tenure as Thor is Odin himself. This is important because Odin, the Asgardian All-Father, is pretty clearly analogous to the Judeo-Christian God the Father. But out of all the gods Jane clashes with, it's Kithri and Shara, the gods of Shi'ar, who really reveal the extent of Aaron's misotheism. They're the antagonists in the Challenge of the Gods, which, in typical Aaron style, subverts another story out of the Bible, this time the tale of Job. In a nutshell, Job's story tells us that though we cannot know God's purpose and might find his actions capricious in the midst of our suffering, we must have faith that his mysterious ways really do work.
That's the most horrible story I've ever heard. Why would God do such horrible things to a good person just to prove a point to Satan?
Aaron's argument is the opposite. He presents the gods of the Shi'ar as genuinely indifferent to their supplicants, causing them to suffer simply to win a bet. Then there's the whole Challenge of the Gods thing. This is an eons-old contest that pits one pantheon against another to see who can accumulate more worshippers. The various categories they compete in read like a long list of indictments against the God of the Bible. The first challenge calls upon the gods to produce natural disasters, not unlike the flood. The second calls upon the gods to produce plagues, a la the 10 plagues with which God ravaged Egypt. In the inspirational infanticide round, Kithri and Shara force one of their worshippers to tie his son to an altar and sacrifice him, directly evoking Abraham's sacrifice of Isaac. The list goes on. Eventually, Jane simply refuses to compete any further. But before the contest had even begun, she articulated what made her worthy over and against any god. I was holding a mortal woman in my arms as the cancer that had ravaged her brain slowly consumed what was left of her life. All I could do was listen as she prayed. She prayed to all the gods. Yet, where is that woman now? Tell me, in what heaven does she reside? None of them, because no god bothered to listen or care. By ending the challenge prematurely, Jane inadvertently releases the final foe she faces as Thor, Mangog. Having played with the stories of Genesis, Job, and the Gospel, the arc with Mangog is Aaron's take on Revelation. Just as Revelation foretells the judgment of mankind by Christ, Mangog is feared as the judgment of all godkind. Mangog is quite literally misotheism made manifest. He embodies all the rage of every mortal ever wronged by the gods. So clearly misotheism is all over Aaron's run on Thor. Misotheism is less a theological proposition than a philosophical perspective. It says nothing about what God himself is like. He might be the Jewish Elohim, or the Christian Trinity, or the Muslim Allah, or Paul Blart Mall Cop. Regardless of which god is real, misotheism is the belief that we should feel only contempt towards God. Of course, most misotheists aren't Bible-believing fundamentalists proudly marching their way to hell just to prove a point. They're atheists and agnostics who conjure an evil deity to explain their hostility towards a god whom they don't believe actually exists. Aaron's run on the Avengers also subverts a creation myth, this time the genesis of life on Earth 616. Previously, the abundance of superpowered beings was believed to be the result of ancient experiments done by the Celestials. In Aaron's version, Loki reveals the true history. Life on Earth from the very beginning was a cosmic fluke. The gods had no plans or purpose for humanity. The Celestial came not because of some grand cosmic design or godly destiny. It never even consciously chose this world. It came merely because it fell. Why is the Earth so uniquely eccentric within the near infinite number of planets strewn across the heavens? Not because of any grand purpose, I can assure you.
The source material behind the film is hands down one of Marvel's most blasphemous work. Now, when publishing the previous video going in depth on Gore the God Butcher, it was brought to my attention that the word blasphemy can refer to two things. Blasphemy in the way we all think of it and in according to the online dictionaries, which is the act of insulting or showing contempt or lack of reverence for God, and the unforgivable sin of blasphemy against the Holy Spirit, which is seen in the account of Mark chapter 3. Where the scribe stated that Jesus was possessed by Beelzebub, and by the prince of demons he was casting out demons, which Jesus addressed in verse 28 to 30 by saying, "Truly I say to you, all sins will be forgiven the children of man, and whatever blasphemes they utter. But whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, but is guilty of an eternal sin. For they were saying he has an unclean spirit." Just wanted to put that distinction out there. Now, before we continue, if you are enjoying the video, then please consider leaving a like on the video and even subscribing for more fictional media breakdowns from a Christian perspective. But pulling it back to Wisecrack's breakdown of the author of the comic source material, Jason Aaron's worldview does seep into his work. Now, for context's sake, especially for those who have seen the film, yes, I am pretty sure there was not a mention of God or Jesus in the film. And yes, Taika Waititi, the director of the film, and some actors of the film like Natalie Portman did state that in the production process, Taika did not care about the source material and even abandoned and cut a lot of the planets and their gods out of the film when compared to the comic book source material. I am completely aware of this. This is why I broke down the coverage of topics relating to Thor Love and Thunder into 3 separate videos. One covering gods and God in Marvel and DC, another doing an extensive breakdown of Gore the God Butcher and the Thor God of Thunder comic series, and this one that you are watching. If you are interested in watching the other 2 videos, you can find them in the cards on the top right hand side of your screen or on the end card of the video. However, even though the film won't be anything close to a near one-to-one rendition of the Thor God of Thunder or Mighty Thor comics, there are still some clear things from interviews and pre-release critic reviews and trailers that I think we as Christians should take into consideration. And to start off, I'll borrow a clip from our Gore the God Butcher video. In doing research for this video, I came across this interview of Christian Bale at the Thor Love and Thunder world premiere where he said this.
I love how much you find the enjoyment in this. I mean, you obviously have to, but it comes through so much in the performance and in the character of Gore. I was just overjoyed every time you were on screen. It was so much fun to watch Gore doing his thing.
You're obviously a very sick man.
Yes!
Be overjoyed to watch a god butcher doing his butchering.
You know,
Well,
that's between me and my counselor, but yeah, you're not too far off.
But that's the thing, though, is that I was saying this earlier, that every enemy in the MCU, there's a grain of truth in what they say, and they have a lot of their supporters. How do you feel like there was something with Gore that would make everybody go, he's kind of right?
Well, I mean, let's make no mistake, he is a butcher. He is a monster. But, yeah, there might be something that you see where you go, I'm a little conflicted here. You might just find a little bit of understanding in him.
We look forward to getting to know and understand him more. Thank you so much for talking with us,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Bale.
Christian Bale, everybody!
When you see the movie, it's going to make you feel like God the God Butcher, that was pretty much written to be the personification of hatred towards God, pondered the thought, well, he has a point. Now obviously I don't think they are going to go all out and adopt all aspects of the comics. One of the main comments I see under our Should a Christian Watch videos and the comment sections of any Christian content creator that does this type of content is, why are we not just satisfied with the fact that the show or film is promoting a supposedly good message? Why are we so worked up by anything that comes out of a company that isn't Christian and does not have any Christian intentions in mind, along with the most common line, bro, it's just fiction, why are you so worked up? We have done a plethora of videos directly touching on why we care, especially when they are flipping the word of God in the source material. As we stated in our A Christian Preview Thomas Marvel video, the recent Marvel media has been on what some Christians will deem to be a downward spiral into much more darker and much more demonic films. But the thing is, Marvel's base source material was always like that. It always flipped the Bible. Even Jack Kirby, the co-creator of many of Marvel's most popular characters, stated so in an interview in 1980 that he went to the Bible.
In other words, I couldn't depend on gangsters. I had to get something new. And of course, for some reason, I went to the Bible.
It's more a sense of the darker comics were kept on the back shelf and the more family-friendly, not so dark ones were pushed to the forefront. However, even this statement in context is a false statement, given what Good Fight Ministries' Marvel DC War on God documentary exposed about the making of the very first MCU film, Iron Man. But even in seeing the actors and directors blatantly state such things, regular fans still don't care, and many Christian fans still wouldn't care. They don't care that the films are getting darker and the source material behind the films is flipping the Bible, because after all, it's just fiction. But all we can do is continue to present the info, and you are free to make your decision based on it and do your own research as well. Now, let's dive into some speculation and known information regarding the film. Well, more known information really and truly. At this point, it is universally accepted that critic reviews don't dictate whether people enjoy a film or not, well, for some of them. This is why we don't care if a film is considered a critical success and certified fresh, or a critical failure and certified rotten. Compared to the past couple Marvel movies, this one was not as tight-knit when it came to pre-release knowledge. I mean, the Wikipedia page has the entire plot summarized already, which, from reading, shows that Marvel is speeding towards showing off the entire cosmic hierarchy, especially given in one of the scenes from the trailer shows those said cosmic beings. But I'll keep it spoiler free and quote the film's official synopsis, which states, Thor Love and Thunder find Thor on a journey unlike anything he ever faced, a quest for inner peace. But his retirement is interrupted by a galactic killer known as Gore the God Butcher, who seeks the extinction of the gods. To combat the threat, Thor enlists the help of King Valkyrie, Korg, and ex-girlfriend Jane Foster, who, to Thor's surprise, wields his magical hammer Mjolnir as the mighty Thor. Together, they embark upon a harrowing cosmic adventure to uncover the mystery of the God Butcher's vengeance to stop him before it's too late. From reading through Rotten Tomato critic reviews and various articles, the overall review is that it's a decent film that does not go too deep into any particular theme or character. A quote from a Nerdist article states, "This is what TT's channeling his submersive and heartfelt-filled family filmmaking of Hunt of the Wilder People through the MCU lens. That makes it feel different from anything we've seen before. There's a lightness and freedom here that belies the billion-dollar franchise it has the responsibility to continue. And without those, we get to just enjoy the ride. But That might not work for Phase 1 MCU fans who love to catch an Easter egg and guess where it's all headed. However, it did work exceedingly well for this regular theory haver. It feels exciting, adventurous, and Abilene influenced in the best way. As with all our other previews, I do not deny the fact that the film will be entertaining. It surely will. And I don't deny that it will have some heart-tugging, some kind of emotional scenes, or everyone will be able to relate to something, given that that's the magic formula of the MCU. But in that entertainment, we as Christians ought to remember what is required of us according to the Bible. We touched on that in the final couple of minutes of our Gore the God Butcher explained video and in separate videos which you are free to check out. I know someone may be typing or has already typed and clicked off the video the classic comment along the lines of "You guys are so bounded and worked up by dumb and outdated rules stated in a fictional book from over 2,000 years ago that derives you from enjoying anything in life." I think you can tell I've been in this content creation game long enough and can assure you it's always the same statement, just from different persons and said in a different structure. So please keep the comment section civil and no swearing when leaving your comment and opinions down below. Now, in wrapping up, let's answer the question that made you click on the video. Should a Christian watch Thor Love and Thunder? And our answer to that is that's completely up to you. Like seriously, it's up to you. As our goal isn't to tell you what you can and cannot watch, but to point out some things that we have noticed in regards to the film and other surrounding topics that we believe all Christians and even non-Christians should be aware of. But as we stated in the clip we borrowed from our Gore the God Butcher video, all we want you to consider is what you are putting into your spirit as a Christian when you watch this film. I mean, you heard it from the mouth of Christian Bale, the actor of Gore the God Butcher, that it's gonna make you ponder some thoughts that make you go, he might be right. And I know a lot of people think that they have some really strong wills, but trust me, you are really easily influenced. And in next week's video, currently scripted as Conflicted, Convicted, and Confused, we'll be touching on that more in depth, as well as addressing some common comments and questions by our Christian viewers. For those wondering if I'm gonna watch it, probably, as I do eventually end up watching all Marvel media just so that I am aware of context for future connecting shows and movies, but not mindlessly as a piece of entertainment. Now when we say this, we do not mean to restrict yourself of any emotion or joy when watching any show, film, or piece of entertainment. I do not even do that myself. I laugh at jokes I deem funny, and I may even cry at sad moments, even though I mainly watch films for analytical and video purposes, because that's what fun is to me. But what it means is, on top of watching the show as a piece of entertainment, we should always be alert of what we are allowing into our spirit. And this applies to every single person, regardless of if they are Christian or if they mock it all up to be made up nonsense used to control, conditioning, or coping with reality, referencing other comments that I've seen. But just wanted to point that out, as some comments do get the wrong impression of that phrase. So with that being said, that's it for this installment of a Christian Preview Tip. If you do end up watching or stumble upon this video after watching Thor Love and Thunder, then let us know in the comments, with a spoiler warning of course, on the various things that you were able to spot from the film, especially any biblical undertones. As stated, I know the film isn't going to mention the Christian God or mention Jesus, or at least I don't think it will, and had not come across any piece of information that stated it did. But let us know any and all thoughts in the comments below. And feel free to check out our other videos touching on the depiction of gods and God in fictional media, and our in-depth breakdown of Gore the God Butcher, or any other topic that we have covered on the channel. And if you did enjoy the video, then please ensure to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more fictional media breakdowns from a Christian perspective. And with that, remember, these videos are not to tell you what you can and cannot watch, as that is your decision to make, but it's simply so you no longer blindly consume.